It was Halloween night, and the air was full with the promise of candy-filled pillow sacks and mischievous fun. My friends and I roamed the decorated streets, our youthful laughter echoing in the night. Our sacks of candy were almost too heavy to carry. As we strolled down the neighborhood street, our eyes fell upon a foreboding house at the end of the road. It was the home of an old lady, a recluse who some in our town whispered might be a witch. She was rarely seen during daylight hours, but occasionally, late at night, she would sit on her porch, gazing up at the stars. Her only companion, a black cat that seemed to have been around for as long as anyone could remember, was a fixture of her eerie abode. The cat, we speculated, must have been at least 45 years old, and it possessed an unsettling air of intelligence. One of my friends, Jack, couldn't resist the temptation to stir up some Halloween mischief. He convinced the rest of us to join him in egging and smashing the pumpkins that adorned the old lady's porch. We sneaked away to fetch some eggs from one of our homes and then returned, giggling in the darkness, ready to wreak havoc. We began our assault with a flurry of eggs. One splattered against the side of the house, another landed on the porch, but most went wide, crashing into the yard. Oddly, no lights flickered on inside, and there were no signs of life. Emboldened by our initial success, we crept closer to the porch, our intention set on smashing the few pumpkins that remained. Just as we were about to reach for a pumpkin, the front door of the house creaked open slowly. We strained our eyes, peering into the darkness beyond the door, but no one emerged. It was like the house itself had opened the door. Fearing discovery, we hesitated for a moment, then decided to go through with our prank. We reached down to pick up a pumpkin when suddenly a loud hiss pierced the silence, followed by a chilling voice that seemed to emanate from the shadows. "Put that down and get the hell out of here." We froze, then glanced to the side of the porch where the voice had originated, and there, shrouded in darkness, stood the witch's black cat. It stared at us with bright green eyes that seemed to shine with an otherworldly intelligence. We didn't see its mouth move, but there was no doubt that the voice had come from that feline. Terrified and no longer interested in pranks, we scrambled off the porch as fast as our legs would carry us. The witch's cat remained motionless, its eyes locked onto us as we disappeared into the night. We didn't stop running until we were safely back into our homes, and even then, sleep was elusive. The following Monday, we gathered at school, determined to share our chilling encounter with the other kids. Few believed us, dismissing our tale as a Halloween prank. But Jack, the ringleader, and the rest of us knew the truth. That cat was no ordinary feline. It was something more, something paranormal. Whether it was a shape-shifting witch or something else altogether, our Halloween night had revealed a dark and mysterious secret lurking at the end of the street, one that we were certain went far beyond mere superstition. October in Bismarck, North Dakota, brought with it a chill in the air and a promise of Halloween fun. It was 2016, and I was ready to embrace the spooky season with my girlfriend Jess. We decided to spend a sunny Saturday afternoon at Papa's Pumpkin Patch, a local favorite located just 10 miles north of Bismarck. The drive to Papa's was filled with excitement. Jess and I chatted about our plans to pick out the perfect pumpkin to carve for Halloween. The sky was a brilliant blue, and the trees were adorned with leaves of fiery orange and deep red. It was the perfect setting for a Halloween adventure. As we arrived at Papa's Pumpkin Patch, the sight was a Halloween lover's dream come true. The entire place was a vibrant explosion of autumn colors and spooky decorations. Gourds of all shapes and sizes lay scattered around the grounds, and scarecrows with crooked smiles greeted visitors at every turn. Children ran through corn mazes. and the smell of warm apple cider blew from a nearby stand. Jess and I strolled hand in hand through the patch, admiring the pumpkins and playfully teasing each other about which ones would make the best jack-o'-lantern. We indulged in caramel apples, navigated corn mazes, and even tried our luck at a few Halloween-themed games. Hours flew by, and the sun began to set. We decided it was time to choose our pumpkins and head back home. Our wagon cart filled with pumpkins, we checked out and began the drive back to Bismarck. The road wound along the edge of the Missouri River, and to our left stood a cliff with cottonwoods looking over the river. The setting sun bathed the landscape in a warm orange glow. Everything seemed normal until we noticed something unusual. At the peak of the cliff, a figure stood out like a shadowy silhouette. Its most striking feature was the large brim hat that covered its head and its glowing red eyes. The figure seemed enormous, standing at least 12 feet tall, but it was oddly transparent, as if it didn't quite belong to our world. I slowed down the car, my eyes locked on the bizarre figure. Jess was freaking out, her grip on my hand tightening. We couldn't tear our eyes away from it. For what felt like forever, but was probably only about 5 seconds, we watched in silent disbelief as the shadowy being stood unmoving. Then, as suddenly as it had appeared, it dissolved into thin air, vanishing without a trace. "It couldn't have been real, right?" Jess said, her voice trembling. "It must have been some kind of Halloween decoration." I nodded, though I doubted Halloween decorations could just dissolve on their own into thin air. We both knew it was impossible, but neither of us wanted to admit that we had seen something inexplicable. We were both skeptics, not prone to believing in the paranormal. Back in Bismarck, we tried to share our strange encounter with friends and family. Most laughed it off, offering their own theories about shadows and strange lights, but none of the explanations felt satisfactory. As Halloween approached, Jess and I found ourselves drawn to stories of the supernatural. We researched local legends and haunted spots, looking for answers to the mystery that had shaken our beliefs. We even reached out to a paranormal expert and shared our story online, hoping someone could shed light on our bizarre encounter. The Halloween season came and went, and though we never found a definitive explanation for what we had seen, it was definitely something that challenged our beliefs and left us with more questions than answers. It was Halloween night in 1976 as I climbed into my friend Mark's brand new Dodge van. The plush purple couches and the luxurious bed in the back, not to mention the minibar and fridge, promised a memorable evening. Along with Mark and his girlfriend Lisa, my girlfriend Sarah and I were set for a double date we wouldn't forget. We parked the van at the drive-in movie theater, its vibrant lights illuminating the festive Halloween decorations that adorned the concession stand. Most of the people at the theater were dressed in Halloween costumes, embracing the spirit of the night. The featured movie that evening was the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, a choice that seemed perfect for Halloween. We sat back in the couches, sharing popcorn and sipping drinks from the minibar as the movie played on the big screen. About halfway through the film, a sudden noise interrupted the movie. It sounded like gunshots. We looked at each other, thinking it was some sort of special effect meant to enhance the horror experience. But then, a wave of hysteria and screams rippled through the theater, and the atmosphere shifted from spooky fun to sheer terror. People began running from the front of the theater toward the back gates, their costumes billowing in their wake. The gunfire-like sounds continued, blending with the sounds of panic and fear. We knew something was wrong. We hesitated, unsure of what to do. More shots rang out, and the screaming intensified. Terrified patrons rushed past our van, some of them shouting incoherently. We overheard snippets of conversations as they ran by, words like shooting and gunmen. Panic spread through the lot. Vehicles were honking, tires screeching, and people were running in every direction. The once festive atmosphere had devolved into chaos. It was impossible to discern the source of the danger or where safety lay. Without another moment's hesitation, Mark slammed the van's doors shut, and we sped away from the mayhem, leaving behind a line of vehicles trying to exit the theater in a frantic rush. We later learned that the horrifying events that had unfolded that Halloween night were all too real. A gunman had opened fire in the midst of the Halloween revelry, taking the lives of 5 innocent people before turning the weapon on himself. The news left us shaken and bewildered, unable to comprehend why someone would commit such a senseless act of violence on innocent people. In the days that followed, the community came together to mourn the victims and support their families. To this day, the motive behind the gunman's actions remain a mystery, leaving us haunted by the chilling memories of that night.